Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So I'm glad you can join us. ECCU member states urged to fight the global threat to their economics together. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday, 25th July 2022. Details when we return.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Timothy Antoine, has urged governments and social partners of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union to band together as the difficulties that lie ahead will challenge every facet of life in the region. The ECCB governor made the call as he addressed the opening ceremony of the 102nd meeting of the Monetary Council. Lisa Joseph of the DBS News World reports.
St. Lucia, along with the member territories of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, the ECCU, are facing unprecedented times where the compounded effects of exogenous shocks are threatening not only economic development but social stability as well. The lockdowns and resulting fallouts from COVID-19, inflation, supply chain breaks, and the war in the Ukraine are bringing to bear grave implications for the Eastern Caribbean nations. Timothy Antoine is the governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank.
For the first time in the post-World War II era, the global economy is grappling with both record inflation and record high debt in both the public and private sectors. This situation poses the several risks to the global economy, including high and persistent inflation, if wage price spirals develop, debt distress, and a possible recession as central banks in advanced economies raise interest rates in an attempt to curb inflation. On the broader geopolitical front, there is the clear and present danger of fragmentation as countries seek to protect themselves from the supply chain breakdowns experienced since the pandemic.
Global inflation is anticipated to last at least 11 months, and growth within the ECCU projected at 6% for 2022 and 5% for 2023. Governor Antoine has called on all stakeholders, social partners, churches, civil society, and governments to engage meaningfully and understand the shared sacrifices that must be made.
At this time, unilateral demands by partners, be they businesses or labor unions, are unhelpful and will simply make a bad situation worse. For example, the price of fuel at the pump in the ECCU ranges from $15 to $20 per gallon, with varying government subsidies to help manage the current price. In other words, it would be even higher were it not for these government interventions. As government take additional steps within their limited means to cushion the effect of inflation on our vulnerable households and businesses, now is also not the time for price gouging by unscrupulous operators.
Governor Antoine noted that economic growth in the region is reliant on many pillars, critical among them air transportation for intra-regional travel.
It is an affront to our Caribbean civilization and an assault on our regional integration movement that many Caribbean citizens now find themselves requiring a U.S. visa to travel within the Caribbean. I know this vexing issue is occupying the minds of our heads of government, and I will say no more at this time as we look towards a resolution.
The ECCB governor says despite the challenges, the times present opportunities for resilience and transformation. For the DBS News World, Lisa Joseph reporting.
The Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago says it is not a political party and it's calling on the leader of the opposition to withdraw her statements criticizing attorneys who voted against 2 motions against the Attorney General last Friday. The Law Association says it has no issue with criticism, but what's unacceptable is the personal vilification of individual members by someone holding a high constitutional office. TV6's Jewel Brown reports.
In a statement issued on Friday, the Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago, or LATT, responded to what it called an unwarranted members of the Law Association who participated in and voted at its recent special. That meeting occurred last Friday at the Hyatt Regency Hotel and involved 2 unsuccessful motions against Attorney General Reginald Amor, who is also a senior counsel. 1 week later, the LATT said that its meetings are private meetings of professionals who make up the membership, and that at the SGM, which the opposition leader said she attended, members were reminded that the meeting was a private one. During the UNC's Monday night forum, opposition leader and senior counsel Kamla Prasad-Bissessar did not mince her words about the result of the votes on both motions against the AG.
For me, it was hysterical and hilarious to see these seniors and board appointees lining up one after the other to grovel. One by one, these PNM senior councils and board members resorted to becoming grovelers and beggars to save their money train from the AG and from the government.
The LATT said members had inquired prior to and at the meeting whether voting was going to be anonymous and by secret ballot, as was the case. The Law Association said the counsel of the LATT was therefore surprised and disappointed that the leader of the opposition, an attendee, not only made public how certain members had indicated they were going to vote, but singled out certain members for an unseemingly public attack, and in the association's words, attributing the most dishonorable of motives to them for the position they took. At the SGM, there was a vote on a motion of no confidence in Attorney General Amor, which stemmed from a controversy surrounding him and Trinidad and Tobago's representation at the Piarco Airport corruption matter in Miami, something that prompted calls from the opposition for him to either resign as AG or for the Prime Minister to fire him from the cabinet. 234 attorneys who attended the special general meeting voted in favor of the motion, but 317 voted against it. There was also a vote on a separate motion which called for Senior Counsel Amor to resign as AG, which saw 241 attorneys present voting for it, but 310 voting against it. As such, both motions failed, and a few hours afterwards, Attorney General Amor issued a statement in which he said he had been humbled by the result. In a statement on Thursday, opposition leader Prasad-Bissessar issued a list and said the public has a right to know that attorneys who defended AG Amor at the special meeting, in her words, have all either received large state briefs or sit as chairmen on state boards. The Law Association said what it called the attempt at the public shaming of its respected members by the leader of the opposition could only have a regrettably chilling effect, especially on younger members, of discouraging freedom of expression in future debates. The LATT said it is not a political party, nor are its statutory objectives political ones, and that, as such, it calls upon the leader of the opposition to, in its words, do what is appropriate and withdraw her statements. Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Trade union that led the most recent nurses' strike in Barbados, the UWU, says Barbados has lost dozens of nurses to overseas recruiters. More in this Barbados Today news item.
Barbados has lost as many as 70 nurses to overseas recruiters. So says a General Secretary of the Unity Workers Union, Caswell Franklin, who warned of the possibility that more could follow suit. The union leader, who led a strike of over 150 nurses between last December and February this year, tells Barbados Today many of the healthcare workers have taken up employment overseas as they were and not return to work here under existing conditions.
I think about 70 nurses left the country because they was insistent they are not going to work under those conditions. And we have very well-trained nurses in Barbados that are in demand overseas. I can't tell you where I get my information from, but I can assure you they can't deny it because a lot of nurses have left Barbados. I think that's almost 70.
The Bahamas Union of Teachers gave government a 7-day deadline to sign off on an agreement for salary increases for over 3,000 teachers. Carla Palmer of ZNS News tells us what Press Secretary Clint Watson has to say about it.
Just a year into office, the Davis Cooper administration continues to experience its share of industrial unrest in the country by various unions seeking to have their concerns resolved.
7 days we've given the government.
That's the timeline in which the government is expected to respond positively to the outstanding concerns of the BUT. Apparently, negotiations for a new industrial contract between the two entities have reached an impasse, and Wilson tells the media that too much time has passed and she remains resolved in her efforts to have all the benefits requested agreed to.
We have exchanged counter-proposals 8 times. We have been in hundreds of hours of meetings, and we are now ready to sign off on a full proposal so that teachers can receive the much needed salary increases and benefits that they are so worthy of.
The BUT president is adamant that the union will not be standing down any longer and that the teachers will get all that they are entitled to.
That well, we know that we have several options, and when the time arises, we will execute our options.
Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Clint Watson, underscored not only the importance but necessity of unions in representing fundamentally the rights of workers.
It's not our job to have a grip on unions. It's our job to work with them. They're not any creature that you need to get a grip on. They represent workers in this country who have serious concerns. Many of them are long outstanding. They need to be addressed. The government is working to see how best it can address them given its constraints. And so our focus is not to get a grip on them. Our focus is to meet with each one of them and see how best we can resolve the challenges. And that's what's going on right now.
Watson says the government accepts the responsibility of resolving outstanding issues, no matter how long they have been lingering. Just this past week, Airport and Allied Workers Union across the country held industrial action.
Again, I stress, many of these matters are outstanding, years outstanding. And so it takes some time to work through them and to bring resolution. That is Prime Minister Davis's focus, to bring resolution. He believes that they have rights, they have voices, they have concerns, they ought to be respected, they ought to be addressed.
With discussions ongoing, from all indications, it's likely that an amicable resolution will be reached. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Carla Palmer.
International partners have got together to express grave concern regarding the steady deterioration of human rights in Haiti.
The Vice President of Brazil, Antonio Hamilton Martins Murillo, as well as representatives from Albania, Ireland, Kenya, Mexico, Norway, United Kingdom, and the United Arab Emirates, have expressed concern about what they describe as the rapid deterioration of the human rights situation in Haiti, particularly reports of sexual and gender-based violence, including rape and sexual slavery.
We have heard how the rapid deterioration of the human rights situation in Haiti, particularly in gang-controlled neighborhoods of the metropolitan area of Port-au-Prince, has been linked to an alarming growth of reports of sexual and gender-based violence, including rape and sexual slavery. These abhorrent crimes, which affect mostly women and girls of all ages, but also men and boys, are reported to be intentionally used to cause fear and forced displacement. We support the calls for urgent, comprehensive action by the international community to help the Haitian authorities in their efforts to strengthen legislation as well as police and legal response mechanisms. To that end, training to enhance response to sexual and gender-based violence and increasing women's participation, including leadership positions in the armed forces and the national police, are very important.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.